When I was a kid, living in a big old house, I used to hear something that still gives me chills today. It was a simple place, but at night it felt different. One of those nights, as I lay in bed, I heard footsteps. Footsteps in the dark. They were soft, like someone in socks, and they moved through the hall just outside my room. I thought it was my dad, checking on me. So I called out, "Dad, is that you?" But there was no answer, just those quiet steps, getting closer. I got out of bed and opened the door. The hallway was dark and I could hardly see a thing, but the steps were right there, moving toward the kitchen. I followed them. As I walked through the dark, I felt a cold shiver down my spine. I couldn't explain it, but something didn't feel right. I reached the kitchen and the steps seemed to disappear. I turned on the lights and there was no one there, just an empty, silent kitchen. My heart was pounding and I didn't know what to think. Maybe it was just my imagination, I thought. But these footsteps became a regular thing. Night after night I'd hear them, and they'd always lead me to the kitchen. And every time I turned on the lights, there was nothing there. I started to feel uneasy in my own house. I asked my parents about it, but they just said I was having bad dreams. Maybe they were right, but those steps felt so real. One night, I decided to stay up and wait for them. I turned off all the lights, sat in the dark kitchen, and listened. It didn't take long before I heard those steps, soft and deliberate. I waited until they were close, and then I turned on the lights. And there, in the kitchen, was a shadowy figure. It was hazy, like a dark mist, and it slowly dissipated as I looked at it. I couldn't move. I was frozen in fear. When the figure was gone, the footsteps stopped, and the kitchen was empty again. I told my parents what I saw, but they didn't believe me. They said I was just overtired. So I decided to do some research on my own. I found out that our house had a history. It was built a long time ago, and a family used to live here. As I dug deeper, I learned that a man from that family had died in the house. He had a heart attack in the kitchen, the very same place I'd been hearing those footsteps. It sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't help but wonder if I'd been hearing his spirit, still walking around in the dark. From that day on, I tried to make peace with the presence. I'd say, "I know you're here, but you don't have to scare me." The footsteps became less frequent, and I felt a strange sense of acceptance. In time, I moved out of that house, and the footsteps faded away. But I'll never forget those nights, the quiet steps in the dark, and the unearthly presence that made me question the boundaries between the living and the beyond.